My DMs are currently flooded with this very question, and it's class sizes at Penn State. Is it intimidating? And are the class sizes really like 600 people big? So let's talk about it, and I will break it down for you. I'm not gonna lie here, my first class at Penn State, there were over 600 students in it, and it was in Thomas 100, which is our biggest lecture hall. But my last class ever at Penn State only had 20 students. So it actually does get better and your classes do get smaller. It is true, the first 2 years at Penn State, your class sizes are very big. That's what you get when you go to a big university. If you go to any other big state school, you're gonna get the same thing. I think for me, when I walked into my first class at Penn State, I was like a little bit intimidated by this, but I quickly got over it after a week or two of the classes. If you're someone that doesn't think they're gonna be able to get over something like this, to like ask a professor a question, you can still reach your professor even if it's 600 people big, and actually use this to your advantage, because if you're standing out to your professor in a class that is 500 students big, they are going to love that and remember you and try to make sure that you do well in their class. I also really do love that the Penn State classes are so big, because if you need to miss a class, you don't just stand out. Also, having classes this big, you will always find one person in your class nearby that can help teach you a concept you're not understanding, or vice versa, and I actually have found it to be very comforting. It's also really comforting when everyone around you isn't understanding or doing the same way in the class, because you're like, okay, it's not just me, and you don't feel alone. So if the class size is something holding you back from going to Penn State, just tell yourself that in 2 years your classes will be so much smaller, and it is something that you can learn and adjust to, and it's not that scary.